Hey, grade 7, so we got another math video here. So this is about when to use different kinds of central tendency and how they can get you different results. In other words, how to use the right kind of average in the right situation. So there's certain situations that some of these central tendencies are better than others. So mode, which is the one that is the most common, so you find the most common number, mode is most useful when you're looking at frequency of choices or votes. So for example, if you're going to vote for a ice cream flavor for a class party and everyone has to have the same one, you're going to take the mode, you're going to take the one that gets voted on the most often. It wouldn't make sense to try and average out some kind of flavor based on the votes. You would just go with what is the most often. So when there's votes and choices, usually mode is the one that people go with. Mean, which is the mean average when you add them all up and divide by how much there is, and median, which is the middle number when you put them in order. These are really useful if the numbers are close together. And they often do get different answers, but they're both useful, and it's often good to know both of those things. Median, again, the middle if you put them all in order. If numbers are really, really far apart, the median can be really useful then too, especially if there's one outlier of data and it can really throw off the mean. The median can be a far more useful way of looking at things. So let's look at a few examples here to decide which ones to use. So in our first example here, Carly gets the following test scores in math: 88, 95, 72, 90, and 72%. We define the mean, the median, and the mode. So to find the mean, we'll have to add up all 5 of these, and then we'll have to divide it by 5, because that's how many there are. So when you add them all up, what you get is 417. If you divide it by 5, you will end up with 83.4, or in other words, 83.4%. So we add them all up, divide by 5, we've got our mean here. For median, we'll have to put them into order. So the order for these ones would be 72, 72 again, and then we would have 88, 90, and 95. So the median is the middle, it's right down there. 88% would be the median test score. Mode is the most common one. There's only one that gets repeated more than once, and that's 72%. So the mode for this one would be 72% because it is the most common occurring test score. So which of these measures of central tendency makes Carly look like she is doing the best? Well, if you had to choose between these three, the median is the one that in this case would best show what her mark would best make her look best. 88% obviously is the highest of these three. So she was trying to brag to someone and say that she's really good at math. She would say my median test mark is 88%. So the median would be the one that she would want to use to make her look like she's doing really, really well. Which measure of central tendency makes it look like she's doing the worst? Well, if she decided to go with the mode, that's the one that has the lowest percent. So the mode in this case would be the one that would give her the make her look like she's doing the worst in this one. So if she was trying to convince people that maybe math is something that she's not very good at, she could say that my mode average mark is 72% in my math test this year. And then she'd be able to show that off as well. Let's move on to another example. So our buddy Carly here also works at a clothing store. The following sizes of dresses were sold this morning. So we can see from our little frequency chart here, 5 size 2 dresses were sold this morning, 2 size 10 dresses, and 4 size 12 dresses. Once again, we gotta find the mean, the median, and the mode. To find the mean, we're gonna have to add up all these numbers here. So we're gonna have to add up 2, and we're gonna have to add it, there's 5 of them, so it'd be 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. There's 2 10s, and there's 4 12s. Notice how I'm adding up how many of these things there are, right? So I have 5 of the 2s, I have 2 of the 10s. I'm not adding 5 and 2 and 4 together. That's just telling me how many of the numbers there are. There are 5 of the 2s, so I have to have 5 2s in here. There are 2 of the 10s, I have to have 2 10s in here. So when I add all these things up, the answer that I get back is that it adds up to 78. And if I take 78 and I divide it by 11, because that's how many different dresses were sold, 78 divided by 11 gives me an answer back of 7.09 repeating. So the mean average dress size is 7.09 repeating. The median, for that one, we'll have to find out which one's in the middle. So if I put them all into order here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 2s, 1, 2, 3, 4 12s, 5 with number 10. 10 is the median dress size in this case. And then mode is the most common one. So the mode would be 2. So the mean average dress sizes that they're selling is 7.09 repeating, the median dress size is 10, and the mode dress size is 2. But the problem is Carly has to restock the dresses this afternoon. So which measure of central tendency is the most useful? Well, the most useful one in this case would be the mode. If she's trying to restock something, she wants to know which one has had the most taken out of it. Even though it's not anywhere near the middle, mode is the most commonly taken dress. So that's why mode would be the one that she would want to use. The mean would not be useful at all. There's no dress size 7 in this particular store. And the median would put her towards, of all the dresses that have sold, this one that has sold the least. So really, in this case, the mode is the most useful one. So you can see how using different kinds of central tendency can make it so that you have to know which kind to use for the right situation. So we have to just think about these things logically. Finally, students voted for their favorite sports. So which measure of central tendency best represents this data? In other words, when you're looking at this kind of thing, is it a mean, a median, or a mode? So 4 students voted that basketball is their favorite, 3 voted for hockey, 4 voted for soccer, 1 voted for volleyball, and 25 voted for Cube, also known as Viking lawn chess. So clearly, this is a class with really good taste because Cube is a lot of fun to play in the summer. So what kind of measure of central tendency is this? Well, what we're doing here is we're looking at mode. If I was to take basketball as a word and I was to try to add another word basketball to it, and then again, and then again, and then I add 3 hockey words and I add 4 soccer words, you can't add the words together and divide them. You also can't find a middle word between them. The only thing we can do is find the most common. So mode is really the only way that we can represent this data. And mode is the most common way of looking at data when it has something to do with voting or choices.